This is going to be recorded. Is that all right? It's just going to be
Yeah,
seen by educational people.
absolutely perfect. No problem.
Yeah, so perfect. So the first question is probably going to be about YouTube. You've been on a YouTube platform for a couple of years now. Posting about Star Wars content, primarily collectibles and action figures. You've collected since 2002, I think you said.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
being a part of that community, tell me a bit about the history of your channel.
Well, the history of the channel really started from obviously watching other Star Wars YouTubers on YouTube, really, that wanted to obviously share their love and joy of Star Wars throughout the years. But the main reason I really started a YouTube channel was obviously to take influence from somebody I grew up watching Star Wars, and I just really wanted to just expand and just give an opportunity for people to dive into people's collections and just enjoy your love of Star Wars. And the main person that really got me into it was Sith Lord 229, who's obviously a well-known Star Wars YouTuber in the Star Wars figure review industry on YouTube. I mean, there's so many others you can think of, but he's like one of the main reasons that really got me into obviously start my own channel, sort of give myself like a brand, a name, and everything. And it just started from there. And I thought just one day I'll sit down, just create a channel, and then a couple of weeks later, I just did a few uploads, and it just really took on from there. Really.
Yeah. So this is like an off-topic question, but what's your favorite Star Wars era?
I think personally, the best era for me, obviously growing up, prequel era from obviously 1999 to 2005. Obviously, that was new technology coming through, new stories being developed, and basically just the start of obviously CGI models and everything to do with Star Wars getting better, but at a slow pace, not what it is today. And the prequel era is obviously great. Obviously, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, obviously in their own ways, has their positives in the Star Wars universe. But I think as time has got by, people sort of slated them. But as got a little bit older, a little bit mature, a little bit wiser, people were actually sitting down and thinking, hang on, I was actually wrong about that. And they slowly started to love and enjoy the prequel era. And obviously the characters involved in it, the music from John Williams and the merchandise, obviously, see behind me, just started it really, which is cool. Prequel era for me.
Yeah, I couldn't have agreed with you more, mate. I love the prequels.
Yeah, it just offers a different perspective. Like, it's just George Lucas had stories in mind back in the late 70s, early 80s, but obviously, as I said, as technology's progressed, CGI, more computers being involved, he's slowly told his story, and it's just opened a whole new range to new Star Wars fans. And obviously, with the era under Disney now, it's going to be opening even more fans to the idea. And obviously, I don't think they can get it wrong. Obviously, the success we're in recently, and obviously other projects that past, like the sequel trilogy and spin-offs from it, and obviously expand and go on from there, really. But prequel trilogy for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So moving back to the topic of YouTube, why did you choose that platform to post your videos on? Why not some places like Vimeo?
I think the reason why I chose YouTube, obviously at the time, making it, I had a Gmail account, and I thought it's the best way to just obviously go from there. Obviously, instead of like taking an interest to any other accounts, I thought I've just got something in front of me where I can just go on, check my emails, go into the YouTube chat and just go on from there. I just wanted something simple at the start. And obviously at the start it was obviously a little bit new to me, obviously recording in front of a camera. That wasn't particularly great. I mean, I had that old with like some dates, funny numbers at the bottom. But once I eventually switched to HD, it obviously took off from there. But for me, YouTube and mainly Gmail was just an easier platform for me to engage with fans. And obviously, I was kind of obviously getting new to technology because obviously through the last year of secondary school when I created my channel, I was slowly but surely getting used to obviously using different platforms, using different software, and it was just a simple bit of software to use and a simple way to engage with fans. Really, that's all I can really say about it. Really, just a simple platform made easier to access, and obviously with YouTube being popular, I just thought it was a vast range to hopefully gain a decent audience, really.
So, as many stated within the community, there has been a lot of problems within the platform along the years in terms of like YouTube's monetization policies. Do you think overall it's been a good impact on the community or a bad one, like the advertiser-friendly content guidelines? What do you think about those?
I think the guidelines are put in place obviously for a reason and everything. Obviously, as a YouTube channel, at the minute, we currently doesn't have over 1,000 subscribers. It doesn't seem an issue for me. At the start, I was all for ads and obviously monetization and everything. And obviously, when we got the when I got personally got the email from YouTube about it that they're going to slowly but surely tone down on monetization, I didn't really make a fuss with it because it didn't affect me in the short term. But obviously, if you've been on YouTube for say a long term project, it can affect you when obviously the market and the audience you want to try and expand on. But I think, like with anything in society and technology, it just has its boundaries and its positives. But personally, for me, it hasn't had a negative impact on me because I've still been able to share content, still be able to engage with fans. But if you were to say ask personally from my perspective, and let's say a long-term YouTuber who's been there and obviously succeeded, then it possibly could have an impact, really. But I think it just depends on how you deal with it, different YouTube communities, really. So for me, it's been a positive thing, but I can see why certain things have changed with YouTube, like the editing software that you used to have on there, the obviously whole layout of YouTube being changed. It has its positive and negative, really. But for me, I don't really have an issue, really, long term at this moment in time, really.
Recently, they stated that they were going to add adverts to YouTube videos, even if the creator doesn't enable monetization. As a content creator, how do you respond to that idea?
Um, I don't mind adverts at the start of the video because obviously they just want to try and engage your audience and everything. You can see why they're obviously putting adverts in the middle, the end, and at the very end. I think it's just obviously to try and engage and help people more in either obviously buying a product or just being aware of something out there. But personally, I don't mind adverts at the start, but sometimes, I mean, you can even be yourself. You're watching a video and thinking, "Oh, I'm getting a good rhythm here," and then an advert pops up. You just like, it's like when you're watching a film. You're watching a good bit on the telly, and then something happens and it goes advert. And you're thinking, just play it. But for me, I'm not a massive lover of adverts in the middle. I don't mind if they're obviously at the start and the end, but for me, I'm not really a fan of having them in the middle. I just feel just let the video flow and just go with it. Whereas adverts, you're watching something, you think, it's taking the rhythm out of it, it's taking the sting. But for me, adverts in middle and towards the end of it, not for me really. Adverts, I don't really like them, to be honest.
So the last massive problem I wanted to address was many in the community have stated that the algorithm they use that is broken. People's channels getting demonetized for no reason, people's channels getting taken down for a reason. Do you think this is true, or do you have any doubts about this? Do you know anyone that's have any problems with this?
I don't have any issues or problems with it because obviously I haven't experienced it. I've seen where obviously other YouTube channels have been taken down, but for something completely else, whether it's due to either copyright or unfortunately their YouTube channel has been hacked. But for me, I personally could or possibly can explain it, but obviously I haven't really obviously experienced that experience. But I don't know. I think it just really depends. Depends really on obviously what your audience is and what you're trying to get out of something. For me, I personally don't really see it as an issue really. But unless, as I said with a previous question you've answered, unless you've experienced it, I can't really say. If you see where I'm coming from, it's kind of like saying this. Unless you've been there and done it and like bought a T-shirt and say, "Oh, it's happened to me," but for me, I can't really say really if you can kind of get where I'm coming from. Really, I only like to say the negative and the sad side where YouTube channel has obviously been done for copyright or been hacked. Really, that's the only reason I can see it. Unless obviously someone has actually seen it. That I can't really say likewise. Really, personally.
So
If it
you
was
haven't really encountered any massive problems, have you?
no, haven't counted any problems. As I said, obviously, I haven't got the number of subscribers to obviously have the monetization method and system put in place, but I haven't experienced anything negatively on here. It's obviously all been positive for me in recent time, and just a good service, really.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, since you didn't have any problems, if you were to have any problems, is there like a support system in place to help you with that?
Um, well, with support systems, YouTube do obviously sometimes email YouTubers like myself, and obviously I presume other people regularly on basics and helplines. So there is a decent help system put in place, but it's just whether when you go into that help system, it's dealt with in a positive manner. Whereas obviously sometimes it takes too long or they can't get back to you, it can be an issue. But I think as long as there's just a helpful help centre involved with a decent amount of guidance to get you from A to B, and to obviously try and help you with your problem really. So for me personally, YouTube has been a help with its emails of helps desk and customer service really. So there is a decent perspective and system put in place, but you can see where there can be ups and downs if something's not laid out properly for a new user or a user for the first time trying to access something really.
Are you familiar with YouTube Rewind?
I've heard of YouTube Rewind. I'm not overly too sure on the aspects of it. I presume it's obviously a new or an older project that YouTube has come up with, like sort of like a retro sort of perspective of it, like a rewind, trying to sort of refresh it like to the old days and try and bring it forward with new ideas. Really, not really.
Yeah, so it's sort of like a celebration of all the content creators throughout the year, the biggest ones, the highlights, the main things that the creators have done. But this year they've actually cancelled it. Now, do you think this is like a good approach? Because last year's one was taken with really, really bad reviews, and it was one of the most disliked videos on YouTube.
I think obviously in different industries, whether it be YouTube or any upcoming projects in society, there is going to be criticism everywhere of people. But I feel that even just getting one video criticised doesn't mean the rest videos are going to be criticised. But for me, if I was in that position, I would have gone with it due to obviously what's happening, obviously COVID, starting videos. It just brings a bit of different perspective, and kind of like with films and TV shows, it just gets you out of that bubble and just makes you laugh, makes you happy for say several minutes or a couple of hours, really. But it is a shame because so many YouTubers out there for different types of content. If you are obviously a fan of it came out in its early approach to it, then it's going to be a positive. For it to be cancelled, shame because it just shows you that like bad times with me, it's kind of affecting everything in everyday life. But I think if they were just stuck with it, like, even though we had a bad approach last year, go forward on this one because of COVID-19, it's obviously bring say people together and say, "Oh, did you catch that video?" And then it could be shared, and then it could be obviously popular and obviously have a good impact on the community, really. But it's a shame, but it's obviously a decision that's been made, and obviously some people agree with it, and obviously some people don't really.
Yeah. So, your channel is amazing, and there's certainly a demand for the content that you're posting, in my opinion. So what do you think YouTube can do to help you reach a wider audience?
I mean, a wider audience, really. Obviously, for me personally, I could obviously expand instead of on figure collecting. I could maybe say do a bit of possibly, who knows, in the future, either Star Wars gaming or even something else, really. But I think the good positive thing about YouTube is obviously what we're on at the minute here, StreamYard, like live streams, videos that you don't think are going to be uploaded with a load of views, and then somehow they just blow up. So I think possibly like a social media, like say family and other people who obviously enjoy Star Wars, say, "Oh, have you checked this YouTuber out? He does the figure reviews, Star Wars film reviews, live streams," and just expand on it. Like say, uh, give social media a better demand for YouTube, like a better perspective audience where you could have a share button to say, I don't know, share to say a science fiction community. So maybe like say a small app or a small website where it's just got a whole app designed for science fiction, stuff like that. But for me, ever since I've been on YouTube, YouTube have been spot on. I know I haven't got the widest and well known community, but the support over the past years has pretty good considering the size of the channel and the views and everything. But I just feel if you go in with a positive mindset and obviously review decent stuff and everything, then your audiences are going to build up. But I feel definitely think like a social media demand, like a sort of like a science fiction community. You know, you've got like the community tabs on YouTube, like sport, comedy. They can have like a massive, like say, science fiction toy reviews to say, oh, there's an interest there. We click on that, and then my name could be on there. Other things, something like that, like an extra tab on YouTube. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea as well. Yeah.
Did you think of it over the past years? Science fiction has literally just blown up. Like 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s. It's sort of like it was big, but not the demand is now with technology. Yeah, more actors coming, better storylines, new directors coming out. It's just a whole new perspective. But definitely with you, if they were to have like a science fiction of toy reviews, movie scenes, engage audience. You know that 9 times out of 10, people do enjoy the film. More than likely, they've got a bit of merchandise in their collection, and if they obviously stuck between the fence on to buy it, then channels like myself can obviously be a decent platform to buy a product they want to buy. Really.
One of the last questions I'd like to ask you is, where do you see YouTube in, say, the next 5 years? Do you think there's going to be any competition? Obviously not now, but in the future, looking ahead, do you think there's going to be any competition? Maybe you might go to this other streaming platform, or do you want to remain on YouTube?
At this moment in time, uh, remaining on YouTube would be obviously a big priority because obviously people can access it obviously easier if you've got a Gmail account or the other type of account. But I think YouTube at the minute is going in the right way with obviously what they're doing. Obviously, they've got such a huge industry with obviously music, documentaries, uh, a whole new demand of obviously fans wanting to watch reviews and stuff about. I mean, if you go on YouTube, it's similar to Amazon. If you just search something up, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be someone on there reviewing it. So it's similar to Amazon, really. It's just got such a popular demand, really. But if someone was obviously to make a new type of obviously streaming service or a video platform service, then there's going to be definitely a good rivalry, similar to like the rivalry between Samsung and iPhone. But at this moment in time, I think YouTube are flying at the minute. But long as obviously they just keep themselves grounded, just thinking of new ideas and obviously thinking of younger communities and obviously channels like myself and big channels that are hot there, then I don't see a problem really. I think YouTube they're good as gold. They've been good with me in recent years, and just happy to be on here really.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's all the questions I wanted to ask you. Is there any questions that you'd like to be answered?
No, just obviously just thanks for reaching out to me.
Yeah, thank you for accepting. You know, I've contacted like dozens of people, but you're one of them that accepted, and I'm really grateful for that.
Pleasure. And if there's any other upcoming projects you need doing, then please give us a message because if it helps you, then it helps me, and it's obviously nice to talk to a fan, obviously like myself, who has an interest for something we enjoy. But thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jack.
No problem, mate. Thank you very much.
No worries.